Scotty V Podcast, turn it up loud. Every nerdy deep dive feels like one more round, one more tier list, one more wild, what if twist. Press record, hit that play. We could talk like this all day. Scotty V Podcast, superhero talk. Hit play once now, you can't log off. Hey, from the MCU to the DCU stars, we're saving hot takes, not just worlds from afar. Scotty V Podcast, turn it up loud. Every nerdy deep dive feels like a crowd. Scotty V Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 25 of the Scotty V Podcast and part 2 of my series Road to Doomsday or Road to Avenge Doomsday, whatever you want to call it. In this episode we're going to be talking about First Class, Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse. There's going to be 2 more of videos for the X-Men, and then we're going to be going on to the Spider-Man movies, and then possibly the Avengers movies as well. Well, it all depends on how things go. But thank you so much for clicking on this video. Let's get on to it. I did pre-record this for Deadpool and Wolverine back in 2024, so I hope you enjoy. Alright, I totally forgot how good this movie is, X-Men First Class, so let's talk about it. Let's get this rolling. So basically, this movie opens up with Magneto and the Holocaust during World War II. He is under so much distress that his parents got taken away. He starts manifesting his powers, and then everything in the metal fences and all that just got destroyed. He just rips it into shreds, and he obviously gets knocked out. So that whole beginning sequence was totally ripped out from the first X-Men movie. So he gets brought into the general's office, and the general office is Shaw, which he ends up being a big villain of this film. He has a Nazi coin, and he says, use this coin, make it float, manifest your powers. And then the kid's like, he's trying, and the kid, Magneto's trying, he can't. So they're like, okay, Shaw's like, you know what, let me bring in some motivation. Brings his mother, and he's like, if you don't manifest your powers like you did outside, I will kill your mother. He's trying, nothing. So Shaw's like, yeah, took the safety, pop, killed the mother right in front of him, and he just lost his mind. Like anyone, you see your mother shot right in front of you because you have powers and you couldn't do it because you're not under stress. Well, he was under stress, and all the metal stuff that was around him, he crushed it, and the soldiers that were behind him with that metal helmets crushed their heads in it. It was crazy, and then obviously ended up knocking him out, and then that's it. And then we go to the United States, where Charles Xavier was a young kid. He goes to his kitchen because he hears noises, and then Mystique is there because Mystique was trying to look for food, and Charles was like, no, you don't need to worry, it's you're safe here. And then that's how they became adopted brother and sister. And then that's the whole thing about going on the whole X-Men journey. So Shaw actually recruits some other mutants like Emma Frost and Azazel, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. And he's just going on a mission to take total control, his future of what humanity should be with mutants. So Magneto tries to find Shaw to kill him because of what he did to his parents, which I get it, it's justifiable what Eric wants to do. Track him into a boat, and obviously Charles Xavier and one of the CIA agents, I keep forgetting her name, find him. He gets thrown into the water, didn't stop Shaw, and then they ended up teaming together because Charles saved Eric, and they're like, okay, you know what, let's go out there, find other mutants, let's make a team to stop Shaw. So that's what they do. They go around, they go find other mutants. So they recruit Alex Summers. They try to recruit Wolverine, so that was a pretty cool cameo. Wolverine just said, go F yourself. I was like, damn, Daniel. But when they said that, he kind of looked back and he's like, the guys seem familiar. Because Wolverine doesn't age, but if you watch X-Men, the original, and then you watch this, he's kind of totally different because we age. So they get a band of mutants together, bring back to the mansion. And then Shaw was there, brings Azazel, which is like a red night crawler, which is scary looking. Shaw goes there, tries to recruit a whole bunch of mutants. None of them go except for one, which was an angel called Angel. She was a stripper. Kind of funny how a stripper goes with the bad guy. So that was such a bad joke. So Shaw takes Angel and pretty much destroys the place, and then Shaw wants to destroy everything. So basically the height of the Cuban War and the nuclear war. So Shaw is hiding underneath the ocean, the Cuban Ocean, and he's trying to cause a whole bunch of destruction. Magneto literally just pulls the submarine right from the ocean. That shot was pretty awesome. Magneto's like, I'm gonna find him, I'm gonna end him, and he's not gonna like it. So Eric ends up going inside the submarine, finding Shaw, but Shaw is actually too powerful, and Charles is trying to get into his head, but he can't because he has that helmet. So Shaw ends up pinning Magneto to the wall with metal, which totally bad idea because he can still use his powers. Magneto gets like some like cable, rips the head, the helmet off his head, and then he's like, Charles, he's all yours. And then Charles just kind of freezes him, and Magneto's like, huh, now it's my opportunity. And he's talking to Shaw, giving a whole lecture, what you did to me, and well, you're gonna pay for it. And Magneto and Charles Xavier's like, no, Eric, don't do it. We can fix this. We can help each other. And yeah, didn't work out. So Magneto got the Nazi coin right through the head. And because Shaw is still, like, he's still aware of what's going on, but he can't move because of Charles Xavier. And when the coin was going through his head, you could see the pain coming through Charles. Charles was just screaming and kills Shaw. The coin goes right through. I'm like, that must have been like horrendous. Like the pain that Charles was feeling was crazy. So Shaw's dead. They go back to the beach, and Magneto's like, we're gonna end this and this and that. The Emma Frost hacks into the Russian and then launches the missile, and then the US launches the missile. They end up going to kill their common enemy is the mutants, and then Magneto just stops all the missiles, turns it around straight to the ship, and both generals are like, so it was nice serving you all, this is the end. And then the CIA agent just starts shooting bullets, pop, 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 and Magneto deflects one of them, sort of like how it was like Wanted, that movie, where you like ricocheted bullet, end up hitting Charles in the back of the spine, and then Magneto got all distracted, all the missiles fell in the water, and no one was dead, no one died. But Charles got paralyzed from that point on, and Magneto was like in regret of what he did, and it's like he can't believe what happened and all that. But then with that said and done, Charles tried to convince him, you know what, come on man, we can work together, let's work together. And Magneto's like, no, we're gonna be a brotherhood, we're gonna do things my way so we can make humanity better. Basically everybody who was on Shaw's team ended up going with Magneto, and so did Mystique, because Mystique has always been with Magneto. Can't go wrong with that. So basically Charles goes back to the school, erases everybody's memory, well, the agent's memory, because she kind of can, if she ever were to get stopped, she would be like tortured, basically. I totally forgot that Beast actually made a cure, because Raven's blood was able to do that, but ended up turning him to the Beast. I totally forgot to mention that, but yeah, I'm mentioning that now. So Magneto ends up going to the prison, breaking Frost out, and then the movie ends, and he's like, call me Magneto, and then the movie ends. So yeah, the action was great, the acting was great. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, man, you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. See you soon. My next one is going to be Days of Future Past. Make sure you follow, like, do what you got to do. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. See you soon. Alright everybody, let's talk about X-Men Days of Future Past. So I'm, like I said in my other videos, I'm doing a whole rewatch of the X-Men movies. I might skip New Mutants because I'm not interested. So basically, X-Men Days of Future Past is basically Wolverine going back into time and stopping Mystique from killing Trask and making the whole Sentinel program that causes the extinction of the mutants. This movie right here. So it gets two franchises coming into one. So you get the OG X-Men, and then you get the new generation X-Men. So yeah, basically the surviving X-Men are going to, they're hiding in a place, and they have to go find a way to stop the Sentinel program from actually becoming a thing. And Kitty Pryde is like, you know what, let's send Wolverine back, because he's the only one who can actually physically make the trip. In the comics, I can't remember, it was somebody else who actually went back in time. It wasn't Wolverine. But if you guys know, just correct me. So Wolverine was the only one physically able to make the trip. So they send them back, and his goal is to find the young Professor X and young Magneto and bring them together to stop Mystique, played by Jennifer Lawrence, from killing Trask and causing the whole Sentinel chaos that would come in the future and end up killing everybody. So, but that's and done. Wolverine does that. He goes finds Charles Xavier, and you can, when he meets Charles is such a bad place. Like, what happened in First Class kind of ruined him. He didn't want to do anything. They found a way to suppress the powers of the mutant gene so he can walk again. He just didn't care for life. Didn't give two shits. And Wolverine's like, you sent me from the future. We need to fix this. And Xavier's just like, no, and time for this and whatever. They recruit Magneto. Magneto they actually go meet Quicksilver. And there's a whole cool sequence. Well, Wolverine, Charles Xavier, they actually go meet Peter Pietro, sort of like how Wanda calls him. They go because they know he's a speedster. They use him to break him out of prison. That whole slow motion was amazing. Like the water, the knives, the food. It was just crazy. They had to break Magneto out, and they did successfully. And I loved it. That whole sequence was amazing. You can't go wrong with that sequence. But the whole situation, you know, Eric and Charles never agree on anything, and they need to stop Mystique, and she's just gonna go on, and she's gonna go out of her way to destroy Trask. And so Magneto, he's learning, he knows what they're gonna do, and they were in France at one point, and Mystique was actually gonna kill Trask, and Magneto actually stopped Mystique from killing him, but also caused another ripple effect. Basically, when the bullet was shot, it ricocheted and hit her in the leg, and she was on the street, and everybody was filming in the cameras. Magneto ended up pulling the bullet out of her, and blood was just on the floor, and that's how Trask was able to get some of the genes of Mystique and actually enhance the Sentinels. But he actually needs them alive in order to create the whole new program. And actually, I think it was President Reagan. He was actually on board with the program. He's like, okay, I'll give you whatever you want, just do it. We go back to his Trask's facility, and he's just talking about how they're gonna change humanity, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be such an advance for the human civilization. I can't even speak. Just wiping out everybody here. James McAvoy, and man, the whole cast was amazing. I loved every moment of it. So they're transporting the trains, or the Sentinels in trains to Washington, and Magneto actually intercepts it, but doesn't really do anything that would make the train stop. He just goes onto the train, rips off the tracks that were on the ground, and then he just put metal inside the Sentinels, which is like, sneaky bastard. So he's gonna actually control them now. So metal's infused. Charles is having a mental breakdown, like he can't handle it. And Wolverine's like, look into my mind. And Charles just looks into his mind, sees everything we saw in the past X-Men movies, from the first one to the Wolverine X3. And actually, at the end of the movie, they actually fixed the problem with X3. They actually just completely cut it out from the timeline. So yeah, he looks in their head, and he has a conversation with himself in the future, which amazing conversation. And older Charles is like, because someone stumbles doesn't mean they're lost forever, or someone loses their way, something like that. That was such a great sequence, and they actually used that in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. So with that said and done, President Reagan wants to make a big show out of it. So there's a big presentation in Washington, D.C., and Magneto just grabs the stadium. I don't remember the stadium name, but he just picks it up with his bare hands and brings it to where the White House is, and just drops it in the president, and everybody's trying to hide under a bunker, and Magneto just rips the bunker out and be like, "This is us. This is just a little glimpse of what we can do. If you don't listen to us, you guys are all dead." And Xavier's just trying to get into the head, and Wolverine gets destroyed, gets rebar put inside of him, and gets tossed, and he's like, so much for being a survivor. So that was pretty funny. Wolverine obviously did survive. And as all this is going on, we go to the future and we see the Sentinels actually coming. They kill Storm, they kill Colossus, they kill Bishop, they kill everybody. Magneto got stabbed by the metal that was just shrapnel flying everywhere. And Kitty Pryde is just bleeding out. I'm like, holy crap, like what's going on? And then at the end, Mystique does not kill Trask. So somehow Charles convinced her not to do it. And Magneto just got knocked out by Mystique, and Charles uses Magneto to take all the debris off of him, and yeah, that's it. And then the future was saved, and then you get a whole monologue with Charles Xavier basically saying that, you know, things change. Eddie Trask got arrested for selling U.S. government secrets. I'm like, bro, you can't do that. Why would you sell your own government out for money and funding? Well, guess what? His program got canceled. Ha! In your face. So that's and done. This was actually the X-Men Days of Future Past in terms of X-Men, so not including the spin-off, so not including Deadpool, not including Wolverine, Logan. This was the last good X-Men movie in terms of when everybody was together. Like, don't get me wrong, Logan was great, Deadpool was great, but I'm going to do my reviews for those in a bit. So yeah, overall, last good X-Men movie. I'm gonna keep on doing them. I'm gonna do Apocalypse next, and yeah, so we're gonna go from there. So I really enjoyed it. Hugh Jackman did a great job. James McAvoy, I loved everything about it. The whole two worlds coming together. Patrick Stewart and everybody coming together. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Like I said, this was the last good X-Men movie to come out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share this video around. Thank you so much for all the support. I'll see you in the next one. Be good. Hey everybody, so let's talk about X-Men Apocalypse. So I've been doing my reviews, so now we're on the topic of X-Men Apocalypse. So basically, Oscar Isaac is playing the X-Men iconic villain of Apocalypse, and the X-Men need to stop him. Now, in this film, it wasn't the greatest film, first of all, and it was just, this is the new timeline of what Days of Future Past created. So, you know, in Days of Future Past, Wolverine went back in time to fix the timeline, or stop Raven from killing Trask to create the timeline they were on at that time. And obviously, Wolverine did do it, and we get this new timeline with the next two films of the X-Men. So basically, X-Men Apocalypse brings in the apocalyptic villain Apocalypse. He's been sleeping for thousands of years, and when he does wake up, he does see a world in pain, a world in sorrow, and he wants to fix that. So his first business is to recruit 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which he does. So he recruits Archangel, he recruits Magneto. That was pretty surprising, because I don't ever think Magneto was an apocalypse, one of the horsemen. They get Storm and they get Psylocke. So you get your 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, sort of like what the Bible preaches in the book of Revelation, which is pretty cool that the Bible is so influential that movies are taking things from the Bible, which is pretty awesome. Anyways, in this movie, we get introduced to the main X-Men, so to speak. Like, we get Jean Grey, Scott Summers. Obviously, Raven is part of the team. And Quicksilver joins, which is pretty cool. We finally get to see that. And this scene, there was actually a pretty cool sequence with Quicksilver where he actually goes to the school, because in the previous film, they actually said, hey, if you ever need help or whatever in that situation, just come see us. So the big battle is Apocalypse wants to wipe out the world and do things his way and bring back to the old times of Egypt, sort of like the Bible days. But I think Apocalypse was before Moses and the Exodus. So Eric Magneto actually was on the run. He actually found a home in Poland. He actually got married and had a daughter. Now in this movie, his daughter is not Scarlet Witch, not Wanda Maximoff, because of legal issues. So Maximoff was part of the MCU, which I'm totally cool with. They need to make changes like that here and there. It doesn't really bother me. He's working at a steel mill, and obviously people are looking for him. And then there's a big earthquake caused by Apocalypse waking up, and he kind of saves his coworker from being crushed by some steel ton full of lava. Then obviously they report him. The police come and get him, but the police kill his daughter and kill his wife, which I think would drive any man crazy. And he ended up killing everybody with the arrow, sort of like how Yondu does in the Guardians movies with the whistle, but he just picked it up with his little finger and he just kill everybody. So Apocalypse saw the opportunity to recruit him and say, hey, I'll give you everything. The world has treated you like garbage. I'll give you a peace and this, that. And when he was doing that, he brought him back to where he was captured during the World War II. And then Apocalypse just brought back memories. And then when Magneto did agree to it, they enhanced his power to make it like a big force field and all that. So Charles Xavier basically learns about this villain, and they have to come up with a way to stop him. So he uses Cerebro, and because Apocalypse can use his powers, and he doesn't need to be in the same room. He can be, like I said, in Egypt, and Xavier in New York. He uses Cerebro to find Apocalypse, but Apocalypse is smarter than Xavier. Uses Cerebro to tell the world governments to release their nuclear missiles, so there will be no interference with Apocalypse's plan. And I was like, holy shit, that was actually pretty smart on Apocalypse's part, because he's Apocalypse. So the world just shoots up all their nuclear missiles into space. I'm like, how the hell? And we got Stanley cameo with his wife, just watching the nuclear missiles just take the sky, and I'm like, holy crap! Imagine if that actually happened in real life. That would be insane. So they go to Egypt. You got the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse trying to stop the X-Men, and obviously the X-Men do prevail. But there was a scene where Quicksilver just trying to beat up Apocalypse, and Apocalypse ended up catching on and just broke his legs. And oh man, that was so painful to watch. It was like you could feel the legs break. It was like, oh. But anyways, the way they defeated Apocalypse was actually pretty cool. So Magneto obviously got a heart and ended up stopping. But Professor X and Apocalypse had a mind battle. So they were in each other's heads, fighting each other. And then Jean Grey comes with the Phoenix Force and wipes Apocalypse out. And he's like, holy shit, this is more powerful than I am. And Jean Grey just unleashed the Phoenix Force. She doesn't have the Dark Phoenix yet, but she released her power, and the Phoenix Force ended up killing him and saving the world. So now in terms of action was pretty good. I didn't have complaints about it. Some wonky CGI here and there, but I don't want to be talking too much about that. In terms of story, the story was a bit weak. They could have done more. Oscar Isaac is such an amazing actor. He played Moon Knight. He played Miguel O'Hare, Spider-Man 2099. He's done so many iconic characters. Man, that guy can act. I wish I can act him, but I can't act. But yeah, overall story was all right. Raven's character, Jennifer Lawrence, you could tell that she's starting not to really give a crap. James McAvoy, come on, you can't go wrong. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. The cast was great. Like, you can't go wrong with the cast. Storm could have been better. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe or follow wherever you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next one. Be good. Thank you so much for sticking around, to those who stayed to the end. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share this video on Twitter or X now, Facebook, wherever you like to share videos. Stay tuned for next week. If this video is really successful, then I can upload another one really quickly. But until then, next week I will be uploading the next series of the Road to Doomsday, which will be part 3. Thank you so much. See you soon, big kid.
Podcast, turn it up loud, every